Okay, we got Friday the 13th Final Chapter. I think for most fans, this is the definitive Friday the 13th film. It is one of my favorites. Excuse me. Yeah, big fan of Friday the 13th Final Chapter. I mean, they pulled out all the stops on this one. I mean, they really thought this was going to be the last one, and Joe Zito did a great job directing this, picking up right when where Part 3 left off, and you got Jason dead in the barn. What I thought was always cool, and they've mentioned it before on some of the books and things, is that they went back to the actual location for Higgins Haven in Part 3 and shot the opening. So you feel like you cut off Part 3 and pick this one up. It's like one story, one long story. But, of course, Jason comes back, and this is the one that introduces Tommy Jarvis to the story, and his family. And, his storyline continued through the next two films. But Corey Feldman was great as Tommy. Also, big fan of Crispin Glover in this one as Jimmy. And, of course, who can forget Ted White as Jason? It's unfortunate that he went so long sort of not being happy that he had done this film. I think now he appreciates, the fans and things like that. And he sees, that he made an indelible mark on the horror film series, because for the longest time no one could take over Ted White's performance in this, and I don't know what it was that he did differently, but he had there was a brutality to Jason in this one that was in the other films, but I don't think it was felt as strongly. There's just something even more evil about Jason in this film, and it's hard to say exactly what it was, and I think it's a testament to Ted White as a method actor as well as a stuntman. He just does an amazing job in this film. I mean, some of the kills in this are just more brutal than any of the other ones. I mean, just where he gets the guy in the groin with the harpoon comes to mind, and that one's brutal. The girl on the lake and the raft. There's some Jimmy with the corkscrew, of course, and the cleaver to the face. And then, of course, the ending. I mean, who could forget the showdown between Trish and Jason, and then Tommy taking Jason out, supposedly. That makeup that Tom Savini came back and did the final chapter makeup is amazing. I mean, it's such a gruesome display when Jason is finally revealed without the mask, and his final takedown with the machete is still, I think, one of the most cringe-inducing scenes. And it was purposely shot slow, because all the other kills happen very fast, and this, when Jason falls on the machete and it slides through his head, that's very slow and disturbing. But yeah, I mean, this is a great film. I put it in my top 4 of Friday the 13th. I mean, it's still one that I just love watching, and I still think it's a very scary film. I think it's one of the scariest in the series. So yeah, big fan. Hopefully one day it'll be out on Blu-ray. Now we move to kind of the red-headed stepchild of the series, Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. Now, obviously with the success of Final Chapter, they decided to do another Friday the 13th, this time picking up and focusing on Tommy. After what he's gone through, he's been in an asylum. He's older in this film. Not really sure how. I think he was supposed to be like a 8 to 10 year gap between Part 4, and he's sent to Pinehurst, a rehabilitation farm, where he's going to be set up to re-enter society as a normal person. And someone shows up and starts dispatching people within the Pinehurst organization as Jason, and you don't know if it's Tommy doing it or if it's Jason coming back from the grave. I like Friday the 13th Part 5 a lot more now than when I was a kid. I was very disappointed, like most people, that Jason's not really in this film. It's not Jason that's doing the killing. The only time you really see the real Jason is through dreams and flashbacks and, hallucinations that Tommy is having. I think the opening is very strong, where, Corey Feldman came back for a small cameo where Tommy sees these guys digging up Jason, and Jason comes back to life, and that was a creepy opening. I thought that was a great opening. But yeah, as a kid, I was very upset that Jason wasn't really in this film. And I was, even though I was pretty young when this came out, I was worried that the next few films were going to focus on Tommy as the killer, taking on the Jason guys. And I didn't really like that idea. The Friday the 13th is Jason. It's just like Halloween is Michael Myers and Nightmare on Elm Street is Freddy. You have to have the killer be the same going through these films. But as I've gotten older, I've come to really appreciate this film, and I think it does have some great kills. It has some really great performances. Ethel and Junior, I think those two are just awesome in this film and so funny. And then, of course, Debbie Sue Voorhees, who gave me, I think she helped welcome me to manhood. She was hot in this film, and great nude scene. So, big fan of her. And there's some really good kills in this film, and I think... there's good performances by Melanie Kinnaman, who played Pam. She did a great job in this film, and it's one that I've come to appreciate. I know it's still not on everybody's favorite list, but it's welcome around me, and I appreciate Part 5. Now, to my favorite Jason film of all time. Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. Will always be my favorite Friday the 13th film because it is fun. At this point, I understood what Tom McLaughlin was doing. At this point, Jason had been around for, there's been 5 Friday the 13th films. What else could you do with the character? And I love that there's a gothic feel to this film, the way that Jason is resurrected from his coffin, it's Tommy comes and digs him up and sticks a fence post into him, and it gets struck by lightning, and Jason comes back. And I love the James Bond type opening where he kind of walks into the camera and slices the eye open. There's some great stuff in this film, some really good kills as well. The motorhome scene where he smashes the girl's face into the side of the wall, where he there's some great stuff in this film. Big fan of CJ Graham as Jason. And for the longest time, I had read something in Fangoria where C.J. Graham had wanted to go on and play Jason in other films. And one of the reasons I was upset that he didn't carry on as Jason in Part 7, and I found out later it was because, John Buechler and Kane Hodder became such good friends and on the prison shoot that Rennie Harlan did. But I was really upset that C.J. Graham hadn't continued because I thought he was a great Jason. I still think he's still my favorite Jason. As much as I love Kane Hodder and Derek Mears and Ted White, C.J. Graham is my favorite. And I think it's just his performance in this movie. I mean, he's a shark. He's just a tank going through this film when he decapitates the 3 paintballers, and the scene where he throws the spear at the cop and hits him right in the head, and then the ending where Tommy and him have the big confrontation in the middle of Crystal Lake. I mean, I think that's just one of the best Friday the 13th scenes ever. Big fan of this film. I'm honored to have met C.J. Graham and gotten several autographs from him on various memorabilia. So yeah, big fan of the Friday the 13th Part 6. Will always be my favorite no matter what they've brought out. But, this is the one that will stay with me, and this is the one that I'm always going to love.